Well, hello everyone. This is Wilson Cole. I'm president of Adams, Evans and Ross, and I am here with our in-house staff attorney and general counsel and my lovely daughter, Samantha. Samantha, how are you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. I know we have talked about this back probably 3 or 4 or 5 months ago on countersuits. And, the good news is 80% of the time we get it collected in-house. So it never even touches an attorney's hands. Or sometimes it may touch your hands, but that's done at no additional cost, which is if any one of our clients have ever used another agency, they're going to know what I'm telling them is if it runs through collections for most agencies, it's going to be 20, 25%. And then if it goes to an attorney, it goes to that 35 to 40%. We actually have an attorney touch it prior to it going to outside counsel because Samantha works the account and that's at no additional cost. But what we're going to talk about real quick is when they go out to the attorneys and they get sued. Out of about 400 lawsuits active at any point, we have about 3 countersuits a year, roughly a little, you can say 1%. It's actually a little under that. But sometimes we see these countersuits coming a mile away. They say your employee stole from us, or, the guy that you placed had a, sexual assault and he came in and, the same thing happened here. And so that can be where they may have probably grounds on what you did. But occasionally we see these stupid countersuits that are still considered countersuits. And I just kind of want you to be aware of the risk of if it does have to go to suit. Doesn't happen often, but occasionally they'll come back and they say, we don't owe it because we disagree and your lawsuit's not clear enough, so we're going to countersue you on that. Sam, kind of walk through some of these just general denials where they can be defended and hopefully squashed pretty quick, but they are considered a countersuit and the attorneys do charge by the hour from it. Go ahead and walk me through it.
Well, usually the big claim they come back with is, you have all the defenses of, we don't know it because of this, we don't know it because of, that, all of that. And then what they'll do is pretty much all of them will be lumped in with, this is a frivolous lawsuit.
Okay.
And so basically this is a frivolous lawsuit, so we're counterclaiming you for our attorney's fees of X. Because usually it's rare that on frivolous lawsuits, unless there's some sort of added damage that they can point to, all they can say is it was a frivolous lawsuit, so we need our attorney's fees.
Okay.
But then there are the ones that, again, like you said, they're coming a mile away, and whether it's they're coming a mile away because we can look at it, and there have been some that it's like, have come into my office and I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be a problem. And yeah. I've had to call the client and go, okay, this, and this, unless we've got another story here, is going to be a much bigger deal than the claim you've got against them.
Well, and that's a good point because, we're talking about frivolous lawsuits, but one of the values that we bring as their agent in the fact that we have it not reviewed once, but we actually have it reviewed twice because we look at it here. If we see where there could be something that has been done in the past and it opens the client up to where if this thing goes out to suit, the only reason that we probably only have 1% of the guys get countersued versus the normal 10% is that we'll recommend half of the ones that don't pay that our client doesn't sue. Now, it may be we don't recommend that you sue because the company's going out of business, they were sold. But the other thing is if you sue them, they are going to sue you for X. And so if the client still wants to sue them, they just need to understand that when that countersuit hits them on something that they internally have done, then at that point, that's where you can run into some substantial attorney's fees on the other side.
Yes.
Okay. So out of the, you used a terminology, I believe it was an affirmative defense, which is, I'm assuming.
And those are going to come back even without countersuits. That's, if they answer the complaint, they're going to have their affirmative defenses.
Okay. And those are just the crap that.
But then, and those are pretty much the lawyers can almost pick and choose. Okay, I need 1, 2, 3, 5, and 9. I'm putting in here.
Okay, so
list of them, and then they can sometimes take those and use those as the grounds for the complaint.
Okay, so in essence, what they can do is go back and, in essence, almost have a templated response.
Yes.
Okay. So now one thing, and we'll kind of get off of the subject for the ones coming forward, but affirmative defenses where, gee, your lawsuit wasn't clear enough or we don't feel like it's owed, that's going to be very difficult for them to be able to claim on their errors and omissions. But if they say you were an idiot, you gave us a sexual predator, for instance, if they carry errors and omissions, that would probably pick up. Is that the case?
Not necessarily. They're kind of the same in the light on, I mean, they're not the same, but pretty much this lawsuit didn't have all of the things, or it wasn't detailed enough. That's kind of what you go to of Nana Boo Boo, we're not paying.
Okay.
That's kind of the first thing you put in there.
Okay. So in essence, the best way to handle, and this is why I always tell our clients whenever they say, should I use an attorney or should I use an agency? I always tell them to use an agency first because it's going to give them less liability with more upside, because if you go straight to a lawsuit, you do always run the risk of having a countersuit. I've done this for 27 years. I've never had a client sued while they were in the collection process. Now, I had somebody sued before they were turned over to us, but as a general rule, we've never had our clients sued while they go through the collection process. Where we see the suits or the countersuits is actually after once they instigate, our clients instigate suit on that debtor. So with us, you can run it through the collection service. And then before we recommend suit to you guys, we're going to have Samantha take a look and give a review. And then in addition to that, because if, Samantha is a Georgia-based attorney, so what's true in Georgia may not be true in California, for instance. And then once Sam runs it through her review, then we send it out to the litigating attorney, and he'll review it and come up with his own recommendations as well. Sam, any departing closing remarks as far as on how to handle these issues?
I think the one thing is, we can't make a prediction on countersuits. I've seen ones where I swore there was going to be a countersuit and there ended up not being, and then there are ones that have come through and there's a countersuit and I'm confused as hell on why there's a countersuit, because it just didn't follow the trajectory that you would expect. But also, one thing that I do follow as a rule of thumb is if you call me and say, hey, Sam, we're turning this over to you guys for collections, and the debtor's been threatening to sue me. Okay, unless the debtor has an attorney, or even if they say, I've sought legal counsel and I can sue you, unless it is coming directly from an attorney, I almost disregard it always.
And I agree. I do agree with you on that. That's almost a go back. But the reverse of that is true. If I have an attorney say, well, if you guys sue our client, I'm going to countersue, then you can almost always guarantee that there's a countersuit coming.
For sure.
Okay. Well, just kind of not some uplifting discussions today, but I want all of our clients to understand that sometimes they can have a defense that actually, can be viewed as a countersuit, even when there's nothing that legitimately you've done wrong in the process, because you can sue anybody for anything that you want. Well, Sam, we'll go ahead and wrap up this until next week. We'll go from there, and I appreciate you guys joining us today.
Sounds good.